You can see the dark outline of the ship approaching, heavily loaded with containers. On the bridge, the blinking amber lights of an 8-member pothole repair crew, and then 2 cars crossing just 10 seconds before calamity. The Francis Scott Key Bridge over the outer Baltimore harbor, crumbling on impact. Responding firefighters not believing what they see.
Be advised, the Key Bridge is gone.
But never would you think that you would physically see the Key Bridge tumble down like that. It looked like something out of an action movie.
Whenever you're in an incident like this, there is kind of that sobering quiet that sometimes accompanies it. It's no different here. This is a road that typically would have, as Brad Bell has told me, about 30,000 vehicles crossing through each day. And you look at it now and you can see just how quiet, how empty all of this is. And as photographer Frank Becker pushes on with the camera here, you're going to see how that on-ramp to the bridge just ends in the air.
You know, as we look out into the Patapsco River now, we can see those boats are still out there. They were out there in the dark last night. They've been out there all day long. And that includes people who are willing to go into the water to risk their own safety to try to help others. They rushed to the scene in the dark of night, dive crews from across the region. Among them, the Prince George's County Police Special Operations Marine Division, quickly getting 2 boats in the water, sharing these photos of their operations. Governor Wes Moore repeatedly praising those pitching in to help.
The work of these first responders, the work of these divers, I cannot stress enough how remarkable these individuals are.
The 4 other workers are presumed dead. That includes Maynor Sandoval, who was originally from Honduras but had been living in the U.S. for 18 years, and Miguel Luna, who was a father of 3 and an immigrant from El Salvador. As far as the other missing men, authorities say based on sonar scans, the remaining vehicles with victims inside are encased in the superstructure and concrete from that collapse.
And one expert tells us that the impacts of the closure are staggering. With the Port of Baltimore shut down,
yes, ask.
U.S. Naval Academy Professor Jay Falls says we could see multi-million-dollar impacts at least, since the port brings in hundreds of millions of dollars a year for Maryland alone.
Baltimore is a major port, especially for car carriers, for all sorts of agricultural goods, for lots of commodities. And so having a port of this magnitude shut down, it just has so many ripple effects.
The 7 News I-team uncovered a disturbing trend. Thousands of bridges crossing American waterways have the same vulnerability as Baltimore's bridge. And despite updated standards and warnings from regulators, our investigative reporter Mitch Blocker found that these fragile bridges continue being built.
State inspectors and federal engineers thought the Francis Scott Key Bridge was protected from a ship strike. They knew the bridge was one of 17,000 American bridges engineers call fracture critical. These bridges are fragile. They don't have any structural redundancy.
The thing about fracture critical bridges, engineers tell us, is if one of the structural components fail in a bridge like this, the entire thing falls.
The National Transportation Safety Board's initial take is the missing structural redundancy was the Key Bridge's Achilles heel. The NTSB's chair said we should stop building fracture-critical bridges.
The preferred method for building bridges today is that there is redundancy built in.
Yet the National Bridge Inventory shows at least 221 fracture-critical bridges built over America's waterways in the last decade. Some are as busy as West Palm Beach's Flagler Memorial Bridge, carrying more than 17,000 cars a day over Florida's intercoastal waterway. Others as mundane as this Virginia bridge in Fairfax County. Google Maps captured the span on Mount Vernon Road being rebuilt in 2022.
One of those new fracture-critical bridges that was built in the last decade, it is right here in Washington, D.C. It is the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge carrying South Capitol Street over the Anacostia River.
While engineers tell us fracture-critical bridges are not inherently dangerous, they haven't been the standard build for decades. The new standard has been in place since 1991. It was engineers and regulators' reaction to another cargo ship crash that took down Florida's Sunshine Skyway Bridge in the 1980s.
We begin with a breaking news alert.
And as we come on the air, 7 News is following two major breaking news stories tonight. A house explodes in Sterling, Virginia, killing one firefighter and injuring several others. We have new details just into our newsroom.
And a dangerous chase caught on camera as police in Montgomery County try to stop the driver in this stolen Maryland State Highway tow truck. Our Carl Willis is live at the scene. He joins us in just moments.
But first, starting with that house explosion, fire crews were responding to reports of a gas leak on Silver Ridge Drive. You can see this home leveled right there, debris scattered throughout that neighborhood.
Huge flames, also seen shooting into the air at times. Again, we just learned that one firefighter was killed, 9 other first responders were injured, and 2 civilians also hurt.
Our Megan Clark is live. And Megan, fire officials just held that news conference moments ago. You could hear the emotion in their voices. What else are you learning?
Michelle, Scott, that latest update, as you just mentioned, a devastating update from the Loudoun County Assistant Chief saying one firefighter has died in this house explosion.
We begin with a breaking news alert.
That's it. There's your tornado.
Breaking news tonight. Devastating weather across the DMV with reports of several possible tornadoes. 7 News was tracking live as this weather tore through our area earlier tonight, and now dramatic new images coming into the newsroom. Just take a look and listen. This incredible video showing what it was like inside the storm. Roofing being torn away, debris flying through the air, and power lines sparking and falling. 7 News is on your side tonight with team coverage.
And then when you widen the view out just a bit, over the last 24 hours, stretching all the way from the Bay to Baltimore, all the way out to West Virginia, upwards of 17, 18 reports of tornadoes. And this will likely go up as we hear more and more information coming in. Latest for you on the storms that wreaked havoc around here, now well off to the north and east of us. A lonesome tornado warning does remain from the system. That's across northern Delaware. But for us around the metro area, we are dry, at least for right now. A few showers off to the west. The good news, you can sleep soundly for tonight. No more storms in the area, but tomorrow I am tracking a cold front. I'll have more on that coming up in just a bit.
Okay, Steve, tonight we had several reports of storm damage, so just take a look at what Montgomery County Fire and Rescue reported in Gaithersburg alone. Several structure collapses and trees on top of homes. Christian Flores is at one of the scarier scenes tonight. That was in Gaithersburg in a neighborhood along Dogwood Drive. And Christian, 5 people trapped inside a home when this storm hit.
Terrifying moments for those 5 people, and Montgomery County officials saying this is the hardest hit community. It's easy to see why. You look down the ground, you see big branches of these trees blown off on the ground everywhere, and including right here at this car where you see this massive branch breaking through that car window.
Right now at 5:30, 7 News has special expanded team coverage taking an in-depth look at the federal bribery case against D.C. Councilmember Trayon White.
I-Team investigator Mitch Blocker will walk you through what led up to White's arrest by the FBI. And D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley is hearing from the people White represents.
And later, I-Team investigator Scott Taylor looks into the agencies that are named in that criminal probe. Here's the latest. White is accused of accepting thousands of dollars to push for the city to renew certain contracts related to violence intervention and youth rehabilitation. The committee he chairs oversees agencies that lead those efforts.
And he was arrested on Sunday afternoon by the FBI and appeared in court yesterday. He was released. White allegedly took $35,000 in cash and said to have agreed to $150,000 in kickbacks.
He's accused of pressuring government at the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement and the Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. Now, the allegations against White are outlined in a 37-page complaint with pictures from a federal investigation and screenshots of WhatsApp messages that he allegedly sent.
And 7 News I-Team reporter Mitch Blocker is joining us tonight live in studio. Mitch, you've gone through this page by page.
Yeah, it reads like a play-by-play of what you would think as a classic political corruption scandal. The FBI, they say that they actually captured cash payments and secret meetings, and their evidence, it shows A city councilman promising to deliver multi-million-dollar city contracts to the man handing him envelopes stuffed with cash. Federal investigators say this is D.C. council member Trayon White, captured on camera taking envelope after envelope of cash bribes. The councilman thought he was dealing with a trusted ally. Instead, the FBI and U.S. attorneys say he was trading his influence for cash with an FBI informant.
Lost words with this one, man.
White has been railing against crime since he was on the school board.
Taken from this store is really taken from yourself.
The FBI began documenting his alleged crime in June. On June 26, 2024, Councilman White thinks he's meeting a business owner interested in government contracts. The man is an FBI informant. He records as Councilman White takes an envelope stuffed with $15,000 cash.
After months of investigating, the 7 News I-team is asking one simple question. Did D.C. Mayor Murrow Bowser violate D.C.'s code of conduct on 3 trips she made in the past 2 years? A trip to Miami in 2022 to take part in the fall leadership of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. A second trip to Dubai last year to attend the United Nations Climate Conference. Plus, a third trip on a private jet to this year's Masters Golf Tournament in Augusta, Georgia. The Miami and Dubai trips, according to Bowser's office, were paid by the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Through a Freedom of Information Act request, the I-team has discovered the district doesn't have any receipts with Bowser's name on it for the Miami or Dubai trip, not a hotel, plane ride, or a single meal. According to D.C.'s Board of Ethics and Government Accountability, or BEGA, gifts made directly to the mayor should be disclosed on her financial disclosure statement annually. Both the Miami and Dubai trips are not listed as gifts on her 2022 or 2023 financial records. The district also doesn't have a donation agreement with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, so both trips are not considered a donation to the district. If a gift is accepted by the mayor and it's not allowed by D.C. code, Bowser would be in violation of the district's code of conduct. That can carry a fine up to $5,000 per violation or 3 times the amount of the gift. At a news conference, we asked that same simple question we've been asking the mayor for months because her office doesn't return calls or emails, and Bowser refuses to sit down with 7 News for a one-on-one interview.
Yes.
I'm asking this question at Scott Taylor 7 News because your office hasn't answered it. Can you explain why no department in the district has a copy of your travel expenses for your trips to Miami in 2022 and Dubai in 2023, and why did you exclude them from your financial disclosure records?
We're talking about the inaugural today, and we're happy to get back to you on any other questions. Yep.
There's more. The mayor's office says Events DC, the arm of DC Sports Authority, reimbursed Edens, one of the district's largest developers, more than $5,000 for the mayor's private jet ride to the Masters in April. Events DC gave us a copy of a Edens invoice, which doesn't have any letterhead and doesn't resemble a typical corporate invoice. Eden says it was reimbursed by the city in June. The problem? Events DC can't supply any proof it actually paid Edens back for the jet ride. According to DC code, the mayor can't accept a gift from a prohibited source, which means a company doing business with the district. Edens qualifies as a prohibited source. It receives up to $82 million in property tax discounts from D.C. to help rebuild the Union Market area. The I-team has done the legwork. Now it's up to D.C.'s Board of Ethics and Government Accountability or the D.C. Council to take a deeper dive. We'll let you know if any of the 2 start their own investigation. Don't hold your breath.
And tonight, the nation is gripped with anxiety after former President Trump is shot in an apparent assassination attempt. It happened during a rally earlier this evening in Pennsylvania. Trump had just taken the stage at that event when shots rang out, striking the former president's ear. And now, according to officials, the shooter as well as at least 1 bystander are dead, and the former president is said to be fine. But the gravity of the moment cannot be overstated, as again, officials say they are investigating the incident as a possible assassination attempt. After the shots were fired, the former president rushed off the stage, blood visible running down his face. We are seeing a seminal moment in American political history tonight as President Biden ends his re-election campaign. He is quitting and now out of the race. What he had to say upon backing out. Reaction pouring in from across the political spectrum and right here in the DMV. A look at how we got here. Plus, the president also throwing his endorsement to Vice President Kamala Harris. But will the Democratic Party agree? The path forward and a look at the race now. Right now at 5, tens of thousands expected to descend on the ellipse as Vice President Kamala Harris delivers her closing argument to voters.
Scott Thuman is live on the National Mall. And Scott, you're seeing those security measures in real time.
Yeah, in real time and real close, Michelle, because right behind me you can see members of the U.S. Park Police who are here on horseback as they continue to secure this massive perimeter behind us.
Right now at 11, your voice, your vote. Election night 2024. Tonight, live team coverage of all the big races.
At the top of the ticket, the presidential showdown. 7 News with live coverage from both camps.
Balance of power in the U.S. House up for grabs in Virginia races. Both sides are vying for key wins.
What a shift in power could mean for Virginians. And in Maryland, all eyes on the hotly contested Senate race.
And a pivotal fight to fill Maryland's District 6 seat.
There's a lot at stake with local and national implications.
7 News election night coverage starts
right now.
And as we come on the air tonight, the 2024 election still anyone's race. And right now, ballot counting continues nationwide. Good evening to you. I'm Scott Thuman.
And I'm Michelle Marsh. 7 News is on your side with the most comprehensive and interactive coverage in the market. All day, our team has been live across the DMV to keep you informed.
So let's get right to it with the presidential election. And right now, Vice President Kamala Harris has 179 electoral vote count. Former President Donald Trump just upped his number to 214.
Yeah.
Well, actually, as you can see, it's a very busy scene right now. We have police have really enclosed the whole area. They've gotten through the area. We've seen that a few people in the area have been pepper sprayed here. All of this really is the culmination of hours of protesting that we've seen in the area. Protesters marched through the street and eventually made their way to Union Square here. And at one point, they took down the Palestinian flags, or took down the American flags, rather, and replaced them with Palestinian flags, actually burning one of the American flags. We saw them burning the image of the Prime Minister, and as you can see, very passionate crowd out here wanting to get their message out. Their message, they're arguing that the Prime Minister is a war criminal. They want a ceasefire immediately in the ongoing war on Gaza. As you can see, lots of emotions. We caught up with a protester a little bit earlier. Take a listen.
So we're here to assert that the people of the United States reject Netanyahu's visit. We refuse to allow him to be in D.C. We don't want him to go anywhere undisturbed, and in fact, we think that the only place he should be is behind bars.
This is not an issue that can just be brushed aside. This is something that's very real and very present and very current.
In the shadow of the Washington Monument, hundreds of members of the Jewish community and their supporters gathered along the National Mall to reflect on a year's passing.
More than 1,000 people were killed
Since terrorists murdered more than 1,200 people on October 7th in Israel.
No one really knew what was going on.
American friends Ariella, Joey, and Dossie, all college students, were studying abroad in Jerusalem on that day of horror and heartache.
People were like so vicious, and like we just keep hearing all these stories and like putting all the pieces together, and it's just like I was there in the same country, and it just like it's really, really scary. It's hard to wrap your head around.
Bring them home! Bring them home!
A year later, they speak of resilience, knowing that more than 100 hostages remain in captivity and that the unspeakable, unleashed on October 7th, triggered a war with seemingly no end in sight.
We're not having that opportunity to mourn because we still have people that are hostage, and like we're still being attacked on all sides.
This trio traveled from their university in New York to the nation's capital, resolved to fight for their faith in the face of anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism is no longer lurking in the shadows.
While also hoping that there's a place for peace for all of God's children.
It's been years, like decades and centuries, and we thought it was over. We thought we had peace, and it just keeps on going. And when is it going to end?
Bring them home.
I'm Jay Korf for 7 News. Every week or so for the last year.
Hey, sir. Hey, Tim. Good to see you, old shoe.
A nearly 100-year-old combat veteran has welcomed local author Tim Heck into his Virginia home.
I wanted to be in the infantry, and I got the assignment.
What they've shared, from harrowing recollections to one-of-a-kind moments.
This is a very interesting souvenir.
Will be the backbone of Tim Heck's book about the iconic 5th Division of the Marines and their commanding General Keller Rocky, who was placed in history's path time and again.
It's been enjoyable to uncover all these things. You know, for 50 years I've had them in storage. Very, very nice.
Heck uncovered while beginning his research on this project.
Is that your sword or is that your dad's sword?
That's Pop's sword.
Oh, wow.
That General Rocky's 97-year-old son, Bill, a font of wisdom and humor,
throwing hand grenades,
remains quite alive and well.
I almost bought the farm the first time I got bullets shot at.
Colonel Bill Rocky served with distinction in Korea and Vietnam.
That's your battalion command map from Vietnam.
Earning accolades for bravery under fire.
2 Silver Stars, the Legion of Merit with a V for Valor, the Bronze Star with a V for Valor.
He's a star too?
Absolutely. He'll never tell you that. He'll deny it.
The Da Nang airfield is over in this area.
But he prefers to talk about his father, whose medals and personal war mementos he's guarded closely for half a century.
He's got 2 Navy Crosses, which is incredible.
His collection includes his dad's original promotion documents, signed by the likes of Presidents Wilson, Coolidge, FDR, and Truman. His father, serving with distinction in World War I, ascending to second in command in the U.S. Marine Corps during World War II, and leading the famed 5th Division into the Battle of Iwo Jima.
The flag raising was done by one of my father's units of the 5th Marine Division.
Arguably among the most iconic images in American history. Heck says General Rocky was also a key decision maker in the evolution and integration of the U.S. Marine Corps, successfully pushing to bring women and black Marines back into the Corps, and his ideas on how to win the Pacific Theater during World War II proved triumphant.
These are official photographs taken.
Colonel Rocky's dad also handled the surrender of all Japanese forces in North China following the war's conclusion.
That's Pop signing for the United States. General Rocky, with a steady hand, signs the documents that will end the Pacific War in North China, where it began more than 8 years ago.
What this son also wants the world to know is that war never hardened his father's heart. In fact, Heck says General Rocky, instead of seeking glory or political power following a masterful career, focused instead on the men and the families who sacrificed everything in wartime.
General Rocky leads the scholarship fund to pay for education for the children of the Marines he lost on that island.
I'm finding out more about my father than I knew before. He's a real great man. He's terrific. I'm so proud of him for what he did in the Marine Corps.
And as you can imagine,
every Marine is a rifleman.
This author and this retired colonel have grown close.
Oh, that's great.
They have every intention of continuing to meet every week or so to talk about a Marine they will not let time forget.
Here are the options in DC's Chinatown. There's an American grocery chain around the corner, a farmer's market once a week, and a smaller store with some specialty goods. There isn't an Asian grocery store that meets the needs of this community, at least not yet.
Every day, seniors at Wallach Adult Daycare Center start with a workout. And of course, some singing. But this isn't just any day. That's director Rita Lee, urging the older seniors to line up first. It's time to get on a bus
very good.
for their monthly trip to the Asian grocery store. We rode along on this 45-minute drive into Northern Virginia.
We are heading to Great Wall Supermarket to buy groceries.
Huilan Hu is 87 years old. I asked what she normally likes to cook.
I like to eat vermicelli noodles.
A staple from her hometown in Jiangxi, a southeast province in China.
I've been in the United States for more than 30 years.
A few rows down, we met Ray Yan Li. She told me to call her big sister instead of grandma.
I'm 75 years old.
When asked what she likes to get at the store,
Fruit, vegetables, Chinese groceries, the things I love to eat.
on her list are some specialty items to make zongzi, traditionally eaten during the Dragon Boat Festival. And Big Sister Lee plans to make dozens. After some more singing, we're there. As the seniors picked through fresh produce, I asked Big Sister Lee where we're going.
I'm getting pork.
A critical ingredient for her zongzi.
Some of the other seniors aren't able to make zongzi. I want to make them and share.
It feels like you're on a cooking show. With a budget, time limit, and if you forget an ingredient, well, you'll have to try again in the next round. Grandma Hu and I rushed to the meat counter. She needs some help.
She wants the one in the back.
A good problem to have when it's expected to last weeks. Before they head back to Wallach, a final stop at the buffet for lunch.
Chinatown don't have the large Chinese grocery.
It's here director Rita Lee finally has a moment to sit.
Any American supermarket, you can see very little section.
This trip is necessary, even if it costs $800 each time.
They wish we can do once a week.
At 72 years old, Lee is older than some of the seniors here and remembers when DC's Chinatown was thriving.
I love Chinatown, I love DC, and I think this is a beautiful place.
But decades ago, many mom and pop shops were replaced by franchises. New development displaced the thousands of Chinese residents. Wallach House is one of the last affordable housing communities here.
If the government can have some program to help the landlord, can help the merchant coming back, the small restaurant can coming back, the grocery can be opened here, and that'd be great.
It is a vibrant, robust, and valuable downtown.
This year, Mayor Muriel Bowser announced a 5-year plan to revitalize downtown. Ideas include a weekly night market, festivals, and of course, that much-needed grocery store.
So you're hopeful because of the changes?
I think given some time, Rome is not built in one day.
What they can do in one day, or at least once a month, is this. And for some, holding on to hope will have to be enough.
You may have noticed while driving down Seven Locks Road in the Potomac community of Scotland that for months, crews have been refurbishing Scotland AME Zion Church, a historic house of worship hand-built more than a century ago by freed slaves and their descendants.
My first step into that church was in 1967.
Bernard Scott, who married his wife Francine inside this very church, leads the $11 million fundraising campaign to build a new house of worship, only steps away from the original. But this project represents far more than connecting brick to mortar. It symbolizes the resiliency of a marginalized community now rising from a painful chapter in Montgomery County history.
And they're not only restoring a building, they're restoring a people.
Scott says freed slaves created a black enclave here after purchasing hundreds of acres of land.
And I was born down the road.
89-year-old Eddie Dove's grandfather was among those first landowners. And he recalls with clarity growing up in a community denied basic county services.
Scotland was a sad community when I was coming up here. It was just sad. Living in shacks, no indoor plumbing.
These historic photos, taken in the mid-1960s, show living conditions in Scotland. Dilapidated homes, no trash collection, no paved roads, no running water, and no plumbing.
It was profitable for the county to erase Scotland, and that's what the attempt was.
Scott says in the 1960s, the county swindled black homeowners by threatening to condemn their property if they did not sell for far under market value. Since then, land belonging to black homeowners has plummeted from 550 acres to 3 acres. But some residents would not stand for the injustices plaguing Scotland, so they convinced federal officials to build townhouses for residents, homes that stand today.
God didn't let it happen then. God's not letting it happen now, and God's not going to let it happen in the future. We will not be forgotten.
Now, some 60 years later,
Thank you. How you doing?
Scotland is finally celebrating.
God, we are just overwhelmed with your goodness and your grace in this very moment.
Only weeks ago, dignitaries joined congregants and neighbors in dedicating the new church's cornerstone, with a couple more $1 million to go before reaching their fundraising goal.
This is wonderful. It's amazing. It's awesome. It's all those things.
Francine Scott grew up walking down those unpaved roads in Scotland to get water from a stream. On this day, sorrow sits beside her joy, wishing the elders who endured so many hard times could share in the beauty of this moment.
They would have loved to been here today to be a part of all this, because it is a dream come true. That's what it is, a dream come true.
He's my joy in the time of sorrow.
I'm Jay Korf for 7 News.
I've loved football since I was a little girl. I always wanted to play. When I grew up, girls couldn't even play flag.
Everybody and mama gonna be here tonight. My first woman.
I'm also the first female white hat in the state.
Okay, congratulations.
I wanted to become an official about 5 years before I actually started doing it. Our head official at the time told me that he was afraid I'd be intimidated. He said, "Well, have fun," and he wouldn't let me do it. When he retired, I stepped in and started and was never intimidated. My name is Bonnie Page. I am leading the crew for the homecoming game between Kennedy and Northwood. Third down, gentlemen, third down. To do it for tackle, it's a big honor, but it's also very nerve-wracking. I have known other women that I would have expected to do it. I just don't think the world has been ready for us. I've worked on the field with another girl who was starting out. I shadowed and helped her in a couple of her scrimmages. Hopefully it opens up a lot more doors for other women. Third down. Don't quit, and don't let anybody tell you you can't.
Well, good morning, Washington. Today is Tuesday, October 15th, 2024. This will be a day you might remember. It's one for the history books, at least here in D.C. We can barely bear it. Welcome to the show. I'm Britt Waters alongside Kid O'Shea and Eileen Whalen. While Ryan takes the day off, and you can see we are joined by the Pandas arriving, 7 News' Joy Wang and Adam Longo. We got the full crew here.
Yeah, we do have the full crew, and we have team coverage this morning for you. And we will start with Joy Wang, who is out at Dulles International Airport, where the Panda Express landed just moments ago. Good morning, Joy Wang.
Good morning, and moments ago is just right. I mean, we saw the plane from a distance. A lot of us out here, the journalists, the photographers, were looking and we're like, I think that's it. I think that's it. And of course, as the plane was getting closer, we saw the Panda. How can you miss the Panda on the FedEx Panda Express, right? And so you can see it right over my right shoulder on the left side of your screen here. Qingbao and Baoli are inside. By the way, this plane, it is the world's largest twin-engine cargo craft. It is a 777 freighter, and this is the 12th Panda Express flight for FedEx. And so you're watching that plane land right now. The excitement, I mean, I wish you guys were out here with me, because truly there is nothing like it. And so as we are looking out there right now, it looks like they've got the ladders ready to go, the people ready to go, the crews ready to go to make sure that the pandas can get to the Smithsonian Zoo safely. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the 2 pandas that are on that plane. Of course, we have Qingbao, and her name means green treasure. She is 3 years old, and she's a little bit more laid back. She's often found sleeping in a tree or on her climbing structure, and I think everyone can relate to that, right? Sometimes we just need a little nap. So hopefully She got a good nap on that plane because there is so much excitement around her right now as we can't wait to welcome her to DC. And then we want to talk about Bali. Bali is Smithsonian royalty. In fact, Bali's mom, Bao Bao, was born at the Smithsonian National Zoo, and just last year, Bali's grandparents, Mei Xiang and Tian Tian, left the zoo back in November.
2024 Sports in Review.
Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight as we take a look back at sports in 2024. I'm Natalie Spalla, he is Scott Abraham, and we have a ton of stories to pass along to you over the next 30 minutes. And Scott, we're going to start the night off with the obvious top story of the year, the surprising turnaround of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, Natalie, for this Washington NFL franchise, the quarterback position has been the missing piece for decades. It's been a revolving door in Ashburn, but finally, it looks like Washington has solved their QB dilemma. His name, Jayden Daniels.
The Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels, quarterback, LSU.
It started in April. Jayden Daniels walking across the stage in Detroit, putting on that Commander's hat for the very first time.
Maybe you've heard about the QB carousel that's been going on in Washington for the past decade, but a lot of our Commanders fan base thinks you're going to be the guy to put that to bed. What do you kind of make of that?
I mean, it's kind of just go with the flow. I got to earn my role. I got to earn the respect. I'm just going to go out there and put my head down and work.
And that's exactly what the number 2 overall pick did when he arrived in Washington. Rookie minicamp, OTAs, training camp. Jayden showing that he belonged, living out a childhood vision.
A realization of being in the NFL, what is that emotion like, putting this on for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, it was a blessing, trying to soak it all in. This is my first NFL practice. Just that 9-year-old kid in me, just realizing that his dreams came true.
The Commanders handling Jayden the right way. They didn't hand him the keys to the kingdom from day one. He had to earn it, eventually being named the starter in mid-August.
What's impressed you about number 5?
He has all the talent in the world. And you always hear that thing, talent gets you so far. You got to put work to it, and I can see he's putting that work to it.
I'm just excited to see everything he can do. He wasn't short to amaze me with anything he can do. He got all the talent, to do everything he want to do in this league. His skill set is off the charts.
The Commanders shocking the entire league, starting 7-2 to begin the season. Jayden a big reason for the success.
Why do you think he's having this type of success so early?
Well, Scott, I don't think it's not any magic that's going into this. I know that's hard to say, but he absolutely works his off.
Work ethic, drive, all important, but so is talent. Jayden Daniels has plenty, and the Commanders are in good hands with number 5.
The full-year program includes 6 months of training and 6 months of competing. In fact, all of the coaches are volunteers and came from this program to give back. That's why 7 News and Eastern's Automotive Group surprised Crimson Heat All-Stars with a 7 News helping hand.
Every penny counts. When I tell you to help these children be able to, 1, have a great space to train, and 2, to be able to travel and do the wonderful things that they do, these dollars help, period. So we are super grateful and so excited and thankful. Wow, that's all I can say is wow. Y'all got me.
In Capitol Heights, Caroline Patricus, 7 News.
Oh, I absolutely love that.
What are you doing?
Gearing up for Pat Sajak's final spin on Wheel of Fortune.
That's amazing. When is his last spin?
It's all next week on 7 News.
Pat Sajak's farewell episodes, all next week at 7, only on 7 News.
We'd like to solve. Thank you, Pat, from WJLA ABC 7.
We are heading down 550 feet. I don't know how many bats all around the. Oh my God! 550 feet ride. We are in the tube right now. There is a lot of water. We're about to do another drop. And then, oh my gosh, it's so cold right now.
so
girl,
good.
If I could stand up right now, I would give you a round
A
of applause.
standing ovation, right?
Of course. That was, and the whole, she's giving us play-by-play.
And that's the thing. But she also called on us like we would come in and help her. Like,
I know,
Robert and Adriana!